Hello, coming at you from more of a music marketing level today. Selling samples. So this is something that I've been doing for years now, and depending on how you'd like to approach it, it's definitely an effective way of making some extra money, or if you go full on into it, you could make a full on career selling samples. It's not unreasonable to think that it could be one of the biggest chunks of your income. So online, the resources are there, the ball is in your court. It really just depends on how you'd like to approach it. I personally have been using Sellfy as a platform to sell my samples, and the reason for that was straight up just because of recommendations from other heavy hitters who were using that platform to sell their samples. People who have just tapped into something and are making like 6-digit figures per year selling samples, which is nuts. So that is the crux of this video, essentially reasons why I have decided to go with Sellfy, however you want to pronounce it, and ways that I myself use the platform to sell my own samples. I've been doing this for years now. I'm not one of these people that makes, most of their income selling samples. For me, it just brings some extra income on the side. And I actually just so happen to have a brand new sample pack that I just released. Oh, what perfect timing, right? And I've actually linked a free condensed version of this pack in the description of this video if you'd like to just go grab it. And here's actually a performance clip that features this pack, every single sound that you're hearing in this performance. So we're gonna start with some advice or just a few tips on how to sell samples. Like, how do you approach this? If creating music is like that itch that you'd like to scratch, creating samples is a great way to scratch. You're creating music in a way, but you're more like a piece of the puzzle rather than the entire thing. Anyone and everyone has access to your pieces of the puzzle and they could use it in any way that they want. So it's almost like you're contributing to this music making community, which is a really cool feeling. And you just never know how people could end up using your samples as well. Sometimes they'll tag you and you could see like the creation that they've made. So yeah, all in all, very fulfilling, very creative thing to do. Obviously not everyone is in this for making money, but I would argue that sample selling is much more lucrative on average than getting streams on Spotify and stuff like that. Let's talk about finding holes in the market. Your sample selling landing page and marketing could be amazing, but I'm one that believes that you have to differentiate yourself in some way to gain any sort of traction in this market. I can only really give you my own experience here. So I'm like one of the DAW-less guys in my niche. What is DAW-less? What does that mean? DAW-less means music, or in this case, samples that are made without the use of a DAW, a digital audio workstation. So that being something like Logic or Ableton, Pro Tools, etc. This is one of my biggest selling points, just the fact that all of the samples that I create are made with tools that most people aren't able to access or afford. I use a very specific type of electronic music hardware, which is expensive. It's a financial investment just to step into this world, so it's definitely something that discourages most people from doing. The specific gear that I use has an approach and a sound, so this is what gives me leverage. This is what differentiates my samples from someone maybe using a DAW, using software to make samples that everyone else is using as well, right? That's just my experience. Your differentiation could be something different and unique. There's obviously exceptions to this, like if the quality of your samples are just that good, it doesn't really make a difference where they were made. But even then, I think it's important to find that thing, to find that hole in the market, as I mentioned. Let's say that you found that hole in the market and your samples sound amazing. The next step is, how do you actually attract people to your landing page? The number one thing that's worked for me is giving away packs for free. So it could just be a straight up free pack, or maybe a condensed version of another pack that you're selling. So it's like a sample of that pack. I've done this in past YouTube videos where, let's say the topic of the video is electronic music hardware and sampling. I might give away a pack within that video for free. You may have noticed that this is exactly what I did at the beginning of this video, so you could use that as an example. The next level of that within my videos is that a lot of my content is educational, so people will specifically search out any given instrument and one of my videos will pop up, in which case it's much more likely for them to see the sample pack in that video and download it. Like, I do get several sample pack downloads per day. Most of them are free, and people just really appreciate this, especially people who are just starting to create music and they're looking for quality resources to do that, especially with sampling. And Sellfy sets it up so that in exchange for the pack, I guess it's not 100% free, right? I get to collect that person's email, which gets added to an email list. So that if I'm putting together a more significant, a bigger, a more official pack, then I can notify everyone on my email list when it's released. Or maybe if, let's say I'm having a sale, I can notify everyone on my email list about that as well. Any sort of notification you'd like to make. And because you've already provided free resources to everyone on that email list, they're much more likely to purchase a pack from you to begin with. And yes, of course, I do know that there's a demographic of people who maybe aren't in it for making money, they're just giving away free packs all the time. Well, still, you could make those notifications as well. It's just a way to get your creation, your music, your product to more people. Another little piece of advice that I could give, and when I do take this advice, take my own advice, it works out best for me. Show people what they're investing in. People obviously like to know what they're getting, so I highly suggest that you either put together like a playing example using samples, maybe exclusively samples from that pack. Like I just did for my pack, there's a SoundCloud link of that performance I was talking about using samples exclusively from that pack. There's also a YouTube performance of that as well, also linked in the description. So it doesn't get any clearer than that. If you want to hear this pack, here's me using it in a live performance, right? This is the best way to showcase your samples. My best selling pack is actually one of the first ones that I put out. It's called Meat and Potatoes, and it's composed of really tight, like muted drum, 70s kind of sound drum grooves. I put a lot of effort into that pack, and I do think that those loops sound great, so that's obviously the number one selling point of the pack. But again, on the pack's landing page, there's a few SoundCloud examples of the drums being played over other instruments, so you get a very, very clear idea of what you're getting. So this is all really important. Again, you could give away a free condensed version of that pack, which loops back to collecting emails, and the loop continues. And this is also something that I did at the beginning of this video. I'm giving away a free condensed version. Managing expectations. Now, I don't have an expectation of people to purchase one of my paid pack after downloading something for free. You can't really expect that. I'm someone who just likes to contribute to a community of music makers either way. And if that pays me off monetarily, then that's awesome and that's gratifying in a different way. My approach has been attract people from my social media by offering something free that has a certain value. Sellfy collects the email of said person. Maybe they'll purchase something from me down the road after I notify them via email. That's it. That's the role that Sellfy plays in platforming and distributing your samples. Notice that nothing that I've mentioned here involves any sort of paid ad. That's obviously a whole other can of worms. What I've mentioned is something that everyone can do, obviously with a time investment, and this sort of growth that I'm describing here is 100% real and organic. Some more advice, make sure to have sales. We all know this, everyone likes to feel like they're getting a deal, so just have sales. Black Friday, springtime sale, wintertime sale, summertime sale, Thanksgiving sale, Christmas sale, which works great for samples because yes, you're getting less for your product, but at the same time, it's 100% digital, the work has been done, you're not paying anything extra, there's no extra expenses, and in the end, more people will end up purchasing your samples at a lower price because they feel like they're getting a deal. And they are getting a deal. For example, if you have a sale, like a 50% off sale, that's a reason to notify everyone on your email list that you're having this sale. Post it on your Instagram, on your YouTube, and you'll see like 2, 3, maybe even 4 times as many people will end up purchasing the pack very quickly at no extra cost to you. So in the end, you're actually making more money doing this. I should have more sales. Let's get a little further into Sellfy as an actual platform. Why have I been using this platform for close to 5 years now? For me, it's mostly just the simplicity and cleanliness of the platform. You can customize the brand color of your landing page. You can categorize your samples. So in my case, there's free samples. There's also samples, which is the paid samples. And there's also a beat battle section because I used to have beat battles. And by the way, those samples are all free to download as well. I have a nice banner and a profile picture. You have the option of setting a custom domain for your platform as well, which just looks extra professional. So I've changed mine to samples.liamkillen.com. So it's like a little bit more connected to my own personal homepage. There's a little cheeky banner button at the top as well where you could lead people to something specific. So if you have like a top selling pack like I do, or maybe you could change the button to say, this is my latest pack, but anything that you want. Obviously the artwork of your product is there. It does make a difference. So I would suggest to invest a little bit in the artwork of your products. I would say try to keep that as consistent as possible. You could add a description for your product as well. So in a way, it sort of is like a blank canvas for your sample pack, your brand, your product, while at the same time sort of being like within the limits of the brand of Sellfy itself, which is super clean and simple and minimalistic. Most of the work is done for you off the top, just in the way that the platform is laid out, clean and professional looking. You can also track where traffic or purchases are coming from on any given specific sample pack. This could be a good way to decipher which platform to spend more time on to lead people to your sample pack. Another huge plus, which I have not experienced with most platforms in general, is the customer service of Sellfy. We all know this. Every platform that you use has its little bugs that you have to deal with. In my experience, every time that I've pointed out a bug to the team, or maybe if there's something that I think could be improved on, they respond like within 24 hours. The Sellfy team is all ears, they listen, they're open to suggestions, and I think that's something that's pretty important. And just to point it out, you could actually step outside of the digital world with Sellfy. There's options like print on demand, so essentially merchandise. There's subscription-based products, physical products, as well as freebies. So if you're looking to go down this road in your own way, Sellfy once again makes this really easy. You can test out their platform using their link below. They give you a 14-day free trial, no credit card needed. And if you like what you see, you could use the code Liam at checkout to get 50% off Sellfy's yearly starter plan. There's a link for all of that in the description. Again, a bit of a different video here today, but it made sense seeing as I'm releasing this pack. Hopefully this helped you out in some way, and thanks for being here. See you in the next one.